My crotch.
The tech. This episode of The Tech is filmed before a live studio audience.
At least we think they are.
We think they're alive. This guy over here's got a head crab, so guys, watch out for the dude with the head crab. He might turn on you all. Shh! I can't tell in the reflection.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
How am I supposed? What the hell's wrong with you? All right, so we've got freaking Captain Kane over here, the eye patch, and the head crab on the head instead of the shoulder, of course, because it's a head crab. You can grab that crab.
It's all good. He's not really there, I swear.
That really messes with my brain. So we're at Quakecon right now. You guys are watching the worst episode of The Tech. Second
Ever.
worst ever. Second. Well,
Second what? Not second? Oh, what's the worst? Oh, wait,
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, we may not have made that one yet.
I haven't made the worst yet.
This will always be the second worst.
That's what you said in episode 1.
That was pretty bad.
That was a bad one. So we're here at Quakecon. We're at whatever hotel we're in, and we're at Larry Tech.
Larry Tech 7.
Yeah, we're at his suite. He's donated this sweet suite for us to make a sweet video in.
Yeah, and we've got. This is, I think, the first time we've ever had this many people watching us do this.
There's like 11 people or more.
It was like 2011. What?
20 people in here?
It's 21.
That's like our entire audience is here in this room.
Yeah, actually, the
If we keep going, we'll be as big as LTT soon.
There are 23 people in here. Is that counting us?
No.
Okay, so 23 not counting us, 25 total, which is a good number. But I mean, that actually, what I think is interesting about this is it actually covers our entire demographic. We got bearded people, non-bearded people, and a lady.
That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
That covers everyone in the world.
Yeah, it does, right
Bearded
there.
people, non-bearded people, and a lady. That's the whole entire world.
That's good times.
What about the Morphodites?
We don't talk about them.
All right, so we're going to do our normal episode of The Tech. We're not going to really get into much as far as what's going on here at QuakeCon. We're going to save that for an inebriated episode
Sure.
of Lost, possibly.
Probably,
Maybe.
I don't know.
And so this is going to be normal tech. It's not going to be as good as normal because we're here, and I really want to go play games, and I can't believe you guys are expecting us to do this thing here while we're in Texas trying to play video games.
It's the Texas.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. The Texas. Y'all watching the Texas now.
Welcome.
Yes.
I think I'm fixing to be rustling up some stories right now to talk about.
What do we want to start with? We're going to start with that one?
Yeah, so
Let's get the crap out of the way right off the bat. And we're not wearing our proper shirt for
no,
this.
we're not wearing the Stop Buy Apple
Don't buy Apple
yeah, whatever.
products.
We
don't.
made it. I don't even know what it is, but you guys should buy the shirt. All right, so
Right
Apple,
here on this link from epicpants.com.
Apple has $202 billion in the bank.
And
just
no,
cash.
it's not just a bank. That's in several banks, but 158 billion of that is not in the U.S., which means they're not actually paying U.S. taxes on it.
Well, that's how it works. I mean, it's genius. I actually don't fault Apple for this because they're doing everything legally.
And there are several different companies that do this.
I think it's
and I mean
unethical.
several. I mean all companies that are international. They will have overseas stuff because otherwise, as a U.S.-based company selling things to say England or selling things in Germany, they have to pay taxes on the stuff that they sell and the income that they make in those countries, and then they have to pay taxes on the U.S. because the actual overall parent company has got to pay taxes on the money that comes back into the States, and it's. So I understand why these kinds of things are legally able to be happening. I just think it's interesting that there's always that. So how much of that money actually came from the States, and they just kind of dumped it into the off-seas account so they don't have to pay taxes on it? That's the real question.
Yeah, I mean, every company. Just case, Google does this, right?
Google does
the
it.
biggest
Apple
problem.
does
The reason
it,
I keep on
IBM does it. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a big company, banks are. Don't even get me started on those. But this is a a common practice. We should do this.
Guys,
Actually.
the reason I always yell and scream about Apple is because, number one, they are the biggest out there. They have, I mean, Google only has like 60 billion in the bank, so they have a huge cash hoard. They're also one of the biggest, infringers of human rights over in China. They have children in the 10 mines. If you guys haven't seen the documentary on BBC, you should go watch it. And I know almost every company does it, but Apple is a company who could actually do something about it. And on top of all that, they put forward this really, wholesome image of brand image. Like, we love everybody. It's all just like rainbows and milkshakes. Is that even a thing? It is now. But it's all like rainbows and milkshakes. But you look behind the curtain, and it's like, that ain't rainbows and milkshakes.
Well, it's not rainbows and milkshakes. The fact that the demand that they place on the manufacturers in China push people to jump off the building that they're working in.
Yeah.
Because in all reality, and I've looked into this, and I've had several conversations with people from that part of the world, and the bottom line is that it becomes more of a financial incentive for them to throw themselves off the building to provide for their family with, like, this person died on the job than it is to continue working under the demand that I can't meet this quota, and they're going to lose their job, kind of thing. I mean, it's insane what's allowed to get away with in this whole setup.
So Apple,
Twitch is
I'm going to pressure you guys, do something about this. You guys have the power, you have the cash to do it. If you don't want to do it, own up and show up and be like, listen, we have kids working, whatever. We're making money and you guys keep buying our products, so you must approve of our practices. You know what? Everything that we're doing as far as the off-seas accounts and all the tax evasion, it's legal, so screw off. If you guys do that, hell, I'll buy an Apple. Just to say good on you. You guys actually told the truth about something.
Yeah.
Google does this with off-seas accounts, and people confront them about it. And like Larry Page and all those guys, they're like, well, yeah, of course we do it because it's in our business interest to save money, and the government allows us to do this crap. So sure, we're capitalists. We do it. That's like almost verbatim direct quotes from some of the guys.
Yeah, and
the top of Google.
I want to reiterate.
That doesn't make it ethical.
No,
but
I want to
it's
reiterate.
legal.
I want to reiterate that a lot of that money, and I can't say all of it, but a lot of that money is stuff that they earned income-wise while operating overseas. So they maintain a bank account in like Bermuda that allows them to dump money in there from other income from the UK, income from Germany, income from Sweden, all those European countries that they get all this income from. They're already paying taxes on it there. So instead of bringing it back into the States and having to be taxed again, they dump it into this account in Bermuda, and then they operate out of it.
Okay, in Luxembourg, they make like billions of dollars. They don't have an Apple store in Luxembourg. They don't have any servers in Luxembourg, but they make billions of dollars in Luxembourg. Any employees there?
That right there.
They don't have any servers there.
That right there is.
And I know the people who live in Luxembourg are not spending billions of dollars on iTunes. Maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe there's some guy there that's like, I'm going to rebuy all these songs.
Again, they do the same thing. The same thing is done in Bermuda. I mean, the thing is that Bermuda allows this kind of thing to happen. Is that you stash all this money in Bermuda, and you got to remember that banks are not like giant holes in the wall that you just shove your money in. It sits there. You are actively investing your cash into another business that then uses your money to make its own money. And I don't know exactly where the make part of that starts and stops.
Remember that wealthy person we used to work for? They had a giant two-masted schooner, right? Like it's a $30 million boat. And a $32 million boat. It would pull into the port, and they had a giant Bermuda flag on it. Or was it Bermuda or was it Bahamas? I don't remember.
I think it was Bahamas.
Bahamas flag, but it was funny because, a Polish guy, now an American citizen, rolling around in a giant boat with the Bahamas flag because no taxes. And he was like, pay taxes. Just screw the American flag and no taxes.
Yeah.
Like,
so
you know what the taxes would be on a boat like that?
Yeah,
it already costs $2 million a year to run the damn thing. So, I mean, it's all about the bottom line when you have that much money, it seems. And I think the more money you get, the greedier you get. So Apple, stop being so damn greedy. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
All right. This is kind of funny. So Universal in France, right?
Okay.
They've created an algorithm to submit. They've created an algorithm for all these freaking takedown notices, right? And they've just been bombarding the internet with takedown notices. Now, in their takedown notices, they've been like, "Hey, we found an infringing link for this movie on these 3 URLs, and also 127.0.0.1 is also infringing, so we want you to remove that as well." So they've been adding that because I guess it's on the files are on their own, they're on their computer, And so that's coming up, and their takedown notice is submitting, and it's just like tons of stuff, all with the 127.0.0.1
Well,
as
no.
infringing. And like, can you please remove this link? It's infringing.
See, what I think is actually happening is when you look at things like torrents and such like that, where your base system is using its loopback address as a way to then go through like the Tor network and getting online. So you're using this kind of weird, magical internal proxy system to then get online. It will register and say, "Hey, my IP address is such," when asked, even though it's really just using that as a forwarding proxy to then get onto the
So you
internet.
think that some of the Tors are reporting home as
What I
their
think
IP
is that
address?
I have the ability to set up a proxy system on my local loopback device that's what will show up on specific devices when asked what your IP address is. I have the same issue with old school SIP phones would use their internal address as when you bounce out into the internet, it was a big natting problem. Anyway, so bottom line is that whoever the hell is pirating these things, or wherever it is that these things are showing up, their system that is scanning for this is finding all of these different people who have their local address as being. No, actually, you know what I think it is? If I use my local system to proxy out to another system to then look at a website, I can go 127.0.0.1 port, and it will hit whatever website I deem. So if I use an SSH proxy to bounce from my home system to Syndicate, I can make it look like the referring IP is, or the referring in the address bar is a local loopback.
I mean, do they do that with the home address? I mean, like, it's
Would
just,
you, if you wanted to bypass and say, "Hey, I'm not"?
I guess so.
really...
It's like the most generic, IP address there is.
It's well, yeah, it is the most generic IP address, and it also is a way that if that's what's showing up on the browser referring tag, is that you can hit Hulu through that, and that's what's going to show up on the report that the referring address is 127.0.0.1.
I mean, I'm not for the takedown notices at all, but they obviously need at least a little human involvement just to look at that and be like, obviously.
What this is
that's
showing is that
bogus.
not only do they have some computer doing this, but they don't actually understand the fundamentals of what it is that they're trying to attack here.
Right.
They're like, "Oh my God, people are pirating our movie," and then they don't have anybody.
Furious
who really...
7, man, that's. People are stealing that.
Oh, I don't know why. See, this is what some of the movies that they're actually sitting back and like have a problem with. I'm like, why are you downloading that movie? It's not like,
that's
that movie's not worth paying
topic.
for, but I'm
Totally
still gonna
different
download it and watch it. Like,
It's a totally different topic.
yeah, I know. It makes me cry.
We have some fans here? All right. Anybody else want to get their ass kicked?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I can't judge it. It could be the best movie.
I like them.
But I'm never gonna see it, so I'll never know.
I just want to fight people.
If you want to fight people, go into a Magic tournament. And then just start asking. He's like, "Wait a minute, I don't like the way the word 'and' is used in this one. I think it means something else.
Haste?
It might mean 'or'. Haste? What does that mean?"
I'm in a freaking hurry. No, that's not what it means. Haste is like something you stir up in a pot and then pour it on the pot, cover your head with haste.
Only in D&D, man. You've been playing way too many D&D where you're a potions master. That's all I'm saying.
And then it makes your hair fall out faster.
Anyway. So next,
Okay,
who
this is-
wants to rank websites based on facts, not links? I'm
Now,
like,
this is going to be something interesting to chew on.
this is going to be awesome.
Because right now, the way Google, I guess, indexes websites and the way things rise to the top is by being relevant, and they assign relevance based upon how many different websites link back to you. Because hey, if we got an article and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a good article," so they post it on this forum, they post it on that forum, they post it on YouTube, and there's a gazillion links from all over the web linking back to our article. It's like, oh, this must be relevant, so it rises to the top. But
It's also based on how many people go in and actually watch and look at that article, and as Google scans,
Yeah, it
all the
becomes
shit
more
you-
relevant.
especially if you're using Chrome, that kind of jazz. But aside from that, it explains why when you search anything on Google, the top 6 freaking links are just crap anyway.
so that's what they're trying to address here. The top links are, well, not always crap, but you know what I mean. They could be just junk that's getting just spidered across the web. So what they're proposing to do, and they've actually got a system working, they haven't turned it on yet, they're trying to rank websites based on facts and truthiness. That's a Stephen Colbert word, but we're going to use it, I guess. So they're going to be ranking websites based on facts and truth. So there's a big problem out there, and it's even in college students. I think some reputable thing, Harvard, it was definitely Harvard did a study. Harvard, I'm sure. No, it was the University of something good. They did a study and they found out that even college kids do not know how to find things on the internet because they type things in and they just take one of the first 2 or 3 links and use that as their source material. And that's really dangerous because that's not how you search. You have to go and find something that's filled with facts and truth.
I wonder if some of these crap, like really crap websites that end up sitting in the first 2 slots are only there because somebody shared the crap out of it on Facebook and or Twitter. So when you look at this,
Mashable.
Man, yeah. So you look at all of these different links coming in. You got 6 million people on Facebook who've linked to this thing.
4chan? No, I don't know.
Right? Well, no, but
IO9.
But no, but you look at any of those websites. Those are single websites. I mean, what if it's the fact that 800 different people
all
on
owned by
Facebook.
the same person.
Yeah, probably. You got like 8 million people sharing this one really stupid article about something that makes absolutely no sense, and it's all just some random opinion piece. But oh no, it's suddenly taken as fact. It rises to the top of Google because of this kind of crap.
So I guess that they've created an engine that looks around and it will deem something to be like false information if they say something, but all the other websites say differently.
So the question I have, I'm going to just play devil advocate with this nonstop, is where do they get their facts from? Because they're obviously not going to Google and looking.
No, they create a fact. They've created a fact database, and they've even got a fancy name for it. Somewhere in this fancy article full of fanciness. But anyway, they're deeming things to be trustworthy, based upon other websites agreeing with them. So if 90% of the websites agree, and this one is getting the most agreement from other agreeing websites that's very agreeable, then it rises to the top of the agreement list.
See, I still think that's going to be kind of problematic when you get it like.
So what's going to happen when somebody believes an Onion article?
Like, that's what I'm getting at. Suddenly you get a whole stack. We've already had that happen a couple times, right?
I know.
No, I can't tell the difference in them and truth anymore.
But I mean, that's really what it boils down to, is what happens when you get an article that is crap, and then, I mean, hell, even Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a very reputable site. Everybody will like, oh no, Wikipedia. You found out on Wikipedia, it must be true. Like, no. But Wikipedia is, I think, more true in a lot of different places, except, when there's that entire war that never really happened and it's just a giant hoax, and it sat on Wikipedia, and it was like one of the things that Wikipedia is like, you have to have, relevance, and you have to have reliable links that say, where did you source this from that this existed? And I think that war that was on Wikipedia was then referenced by a website for referencing this war. Then that website that was referencing this war that never actually happened was then put as a source for the war that never existed on the Wikipedia article. And this happened like 4 or 5 or 6 times until some historian came along and was like, wait a minute. All of these websites that are listed as references are actually referencing the Wikipedia article in their argument as to why this thing actually exists or what they were talking about in the historical piece.
All the people in that war died for nothing?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I mean, so you get something like that where that will suddenly show up as fact, as truth based on this algorithm. So I think somewhere along the line there's got to be a curation process. Is this actually real? Is this actually fact? Who's going to do that? Is it going to be a real person? Are you actually going to hire a historian and be like, yep, that article's true. This is the science. Or is it going to be like NASA is going to put out an article?
It may end up having some problems, but it might be better than what we have already.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just finding flaws in everything.
The thing is called the knowledge vault.
That's great. So again, maybe they're going to have a list of sites that are obviously going to be reputable under a topic.
I'm sure they're going to have a filter for the Onion.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, but like NASA is a source of information, and that NASA puts out a blog post that has, this is what we did. We are NASA. This is what we did. We know what we did, so this is fact. And you're going to have 80 different articles they're going to reference. Like the I effing love science guys are going to reference this NASA article, but they're going to put their own little weird spin on it that makes no bloody sense whatsoever. But are they going to be listed high up because they link to NASA? But NASA's going to be the truth one, so that's going to show up at the top of the list because all these other articles are referencing NASA.
I don't know. I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens when they put this
into
practice.
I wish I was just in the fly on the wall in the meeting when they decided to do this.
I wonder what this is going to do to our website, because we don't have a lot of content. We have a lot of forum posts, but the rest of it's all video.
Well, yeah, it is all video.
And then I usually, my blog post is just like, it's a video. Go watch it. What do you think? That's it.
Sure.
So, how is that? We're going to go way down on Google.
So we're going to have to start putting facts in the description. This is a fact.
I don't want to do that.
Just say it. This is a fact.
That's my style, man. I like my opinions, okay? And I've got a little bubble that I live in. It's my little universe, and anything that's outside of it, I ignore. It's great. It's a great way to
So
live.
when it randomly flashes across that, parabola of the outside of your bubble, and you're like, hey, that's kind of cool. Where do I get it? And then you bring it into the bubble.
Where are we going? We're going to China. That's where we're going.
Yep, China.
Let's talk about megacities in China because that has something to do with technology. I
China
guess.
is a megacity.
Yeah, but okay.
Well,
So
not
we
really.
just got back from Beijing, and that was already a megacity. So Beijing, over the last since 1978. Look at this. It was in 2010, but it was
There you
this
go,
big, and then watch the
1978.
chart. It like gets bigger. Oh my God, it's grown over the years. Can you believe that?
Well, the thing with
Yeah.
Beijing is that it has probably got some of the best set of urban planning ever. And
If
the
you
way
like
they,
driving for 4 hours in every
they,
direction.
They've built it out very, very nicely. So it is a mega city, but they've also got the landscape to be able to do this. Not many other places in the world have that kind of landscape where it's just nice, open, wide, flat, a little hilly here and there, but they don't have that kind of space that's blatantly capable of just saying, we're going to build a big city and just keep going this
It
way.
seems like in the last 20, 30 years, China has started finally moving people to city centers, right? And you've got all these people living out on the farms and that sort of thing, and they're moving them downtown. And the weird thing is, like, you look at like Central America, and they started urbanizing, and it made the upper class go even higher and the lower class go even lower, and it didn't really do anything for the middle class. But in China, it's actually, the middle class is actually growing. So it's sort of a different experience over there. The middle class is getting more money. They're buying nicer cars, getting better jobs, and they're moving downtown. And so they've seen this as a positive thing for their economy. They're working on different types of jobs, creative jobs, and that sort of thing.
One of the other things about why I think that's happening is that you've got a culture of people who help encourage that. Like I was reading an article the other day where there is a group of younger folks between mid-20s who've got jobs in like the heart of Beijing, but they don't live there. They live in the cheap area that's way out middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like
But in
couple
order
hours,
for them-
couple hour drive to work.
But in order for them to get into the city, they have to get on a bus.
Yeah.
And in order for them to get on the bus that takes 2.5 hours to get into the city, their parents, who aren't really doing anything else, will get up at the crack of dawn and go and stand in line at the bus. They will
Reserve
be-
their spot
and
in line.
They basically reserve the front of the line for the buses come, people get on, and they will just stay there until their children, who are, again, mid-20s, who sleep until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but they've been in line since 6 a.m. So their kids show up at 9 o'clock in the morning, get that extra 3 hours of sleep, and then they just cut to the front of the line, get on the bus, and go to work.
Well, you know what? The city's going to get a lot bigger. So here's
Sure.
here's what's on the table. So I guess years and years ago they proposed making a mega city, and we're talking like joining up with a few of the other cities that are around there. There's already a few other cities in the area, and just turning the entire thing into one ginormous downtown. It's sort of like what you see in a sci-fi movie when they fly in. It's just like, oh my God, Star Wars city forever. That's what they're going to do. It's 82,000 square miles, roughly. It's a little bit bigger than Kansas, I think. So imagine, just if you've ever driven through Kansas, it's just like cornfield after freaking cornfield after freaking cornfield after maybe we'll get to Missouri soon and have Google Fiber. That's all it is. The entire time you're there, just driving forever. It's just nothing. There's nothing. Just flat. So imagine like that amount of space, but the entire time you're driving, it's skyscraper after skyscraper. And that was already the experience when we were there. We drove for a couple of hours, and it's like, oh my God, holy shit. There's skyscraper after like, this is a Danish architect. This was a Chinese architect.
One of the other things
we
about
brought a Japanese guy in to build this giant sky bridge.
Now, one of the other
And
things
it's just
about,
like it never stops.
about Beijing that was kind of interesting is like you go to New York, you go to Chicago, you go to even Shanghai, is that they've built a lot of skinny, tall buildings, and in Beijing they've built wide, stout buildings where they're tall, but they're not the Freedom Tower, they're not the Sears. Well, it's not the Sears Tower anymore. You're all gonna be like, it's not the Sears Tower anymore. That building. It's not the giant building in Dubai. I can't even remember what it is. I just know it's the big one. What is it? Yeah, that thing. I can't even say it. That's
Burj Khalifa.
what he said. So it's not like those. They're wide, stout buildings. So they're huge. They take up what effectively is like 2-3 city blocks, both directions. They're huge. They got an atrium in the center where it's actually like this peaceful little garden, and it's very feng shui in the way they design these buildings that are massive. But they're still 50, 60 stories high, but they're not not 110 stories, 120 stories or
I guess
gigantic, but they're huge.
I guess my question is, what is this going to do for their economy? I know there's a lot going on in the north of China right now. We've got Shenzhen, which is sort of an experiment, but that's where a lot of your technology, almost everything, probably half of this laptop. Hey, this is from Shenzhen. So I mean, now that the northern parts of China, they're like amping up the growth. And the reason I even brought this article up is in Beijing, the government said yes, we are going to build this because it's been a proposal for a long time. So this is going to happen. And then their market went down, but I think we all need to be watching because this is where a lot of your technology comes from. Watch their economy closely. If you guys are smart, and I know some of our older members are actually paying attention to world markets and stuff, just watch what happens here. It could be interesting. I got to be frank, I'm not expecting the quality of life to go up, but I'm expecting the amount of money that each individual makes to go up.
Sure.
So I guess we'll leave it there and let you guys comment on the website because I don't want comments on YouTube anymore.
YouTube has comments?
Not anymore, it doesn't. All right, let's talk a little bit about driverless cars and loss of revenue for municipalities and cities and that sort of thing. So all the driverless cars are going to happen in the next 5-6 years. Driverless cars are going to be a thing. They're already being improved in some places in Europe. They're already being tested all over, mostly on the West Coast and that sort of thing. But driverless cars are on their way, and when they get here, Uber already has put in an order for Tesla. They want all of the driverless electrical cars they can make. They want all of them. Up until like 2015 or something, 2025, or something crazy. Like they want all of them, like 600,000 vehicles. They want them all. So in an economy, in a society with driverless cars, there's going to be far fewer traffic infractions, like the little minor things. And that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but let's look at the city of Los Angeles. Last year they made $161 million from parking violations alone, just parking violations. Red light violations, they're $490 a pop, so they're going to lose pretty much all of those. If you're driving drunk, $15,000 fine, and then if you get a DUI conviction, $22,000 fine. So they're making like $40 million in towing fees. They're making like an absurd amount of money.
I want to point out that when we talk about them making all this money, it's not like this money just goes into a coffer like Apple does and just going, we have all this money now. They use that money to then turn around and pay the police force, right, and pay the traffic maintenance or road maintenance, and all of that stuff that money is used or should be used to pay for all of that stuff happening. And if you drop all your DUIs down, you drop all of that stuff, you drop any and all of those kinds of infractions down, you don't need a bigger police force. You need a smaller police force. Your road maintenance is going to be consistent and varying.
Yeah, but that's probably more than they need for even their police force.
Well, no, I'm not saying it only does that. I'm just saying, but that's a lot of that money goes to this. So it's not like they just got $40 million they dump in their back pocket. This actually goes to then turn around and pay for all of those things, and it goes back into how to run the state and all that jazz. So it's going to drop it down, but the need for a lot of those services is also going to go down.
I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think they're going to do to sort of offset the money they're going to be losing, because like you said, they're going to fire a bunch of the police force is going to get smaller,
which is good and bad, I guess, in certain ways. I mean, and it's one of those, do you really need this giant militant police force? At the other side of it, that's a lot of people going to lose their jobs. The thing that I'm more fascinated about when it comes to driverless cars is what about insurance prices or insurance in general? Do you need it? No, I don't need it because my car drives itself.
I mean, you may need it for that time when the car is like, hey, we're going to get into an accident and there's a family of 4 over there, so you're dead.
See, well, no, I see. That's one of those things where we go back to. I mentioned this when we were in Hong Kong doing the tech. Is that old show, that old anime XD, and that was what it is. The entire nation of Japan was running on automated cars. What happens when the computer just malfunctions and starts driving like a maniac down the road?
What about when the computer's hacked?
That's the next concept, and that already happened yesterday.
And why the hell is the accelerator connected to the radio?
I know the answer to this question. I just think it's really stupid that we've known about this for I don't know how long now, and they haven't fixed it. When you get into these new modern cars that have the computer that drives everything, and that's not really a pun that was intended. The throttle, the braking system, the transmission, the radio, all of it's on this internal computer network. So it's not so much that the radio is connected to those, but if you've got a dashboard that's got anything from miles per gallon, all those kinds of information, it's got to be communicating some way or another to these other computer systems that are in the car. Yeah, if it's not a central computer, they're all independent machines, all operating on their own little thing. But what happens when you've got something that's not supposed to be there, pushing buttons randomly, like, hey, what's this do? What's that do? Suddenly your brakes lock up, your gas is hitting the floor, your transmission explodes, and then you drive your car off the road because you're like, I'm not even touching it anymore. Or what happens when you've got one of the new cars that have got like the auto park system that controls the throttle, the steering column, and all that jazz, and somebody else takes control of that and starts turning your wheel to the side, smashing you this way, hitting the brakes, smashing the brakes and gas pedal. And
yeah, and this has been demonstrated. So I guess they've been testing this. There's a video online. You guys can watch it on Forbes. I believe it was on Wired as well. I think the Wired was the one.
Wired, I think, is the one who did the actual article itself, because they were the ones who they were like. So we basically grabbed the two guys. They're going to be at DEF CONs. If anyone's going to be at DEF CON, and go and check.
They're going to release like the full details of what happened. They were able to hack 3,500-pound Ford Escape. And the car wasn't able to stop, wasn't able to slow down. It wasn't. The dude pretty much just lost control of his car, and a hacker was like, I'm going to have a little fun with this guy. They were only doing the test at 5 miles per hour, but this could happen on an interstate or something like that.
That's the idea. I'm trying to remember. They didn't tell exactly how they did it, but they did go in. Yeah, they did go in through the something to do with the computer that was in the dash. It's the radio and it wasn't like quite OnStar, but it was another utility. I'm trying to remember if they said it was the utility that was in the dashboard, or if it was actually being tethered through his phone when his phone had the app that was Bluetooth to the. It's
probably that.
I
What
mean,
was it?
Ford
Sync.
There you go.
It's not even in this Forbes article.
Yeah, it's.
Is it really?
Yes.
Regardless,
the Microsoft thing. Well, I'm so glad Microsoft fired all their testers, all their product testers. It's so good.
I don't know why they had them to begin with. We've been beta testing their software since the beginning.
I mean, and now all their products are cheaper, right?
It's like as always, Apple just came out and said, "Oh, this is the first time we're going to put out a beta version of the iPhone software." And I'm like, "First, my ass! It's the first time you may have publicly put the label on it, but." You know this when you upgrade and suddenly your phone's bricked. You know this when you go to do anything and your phone's like, man, I don't know what you're doing. Now I'm going to die now.
Let's tie all this in. So, remember Hacking Team? They're that Italian team of hackers. They did all these government jobs and stuff. They're basically hackers for the government NSA. Whoever calls them up and says, hey, can you do this? They figure out a way to do it. Anyway, they were compromised by some gray hat hackers, and all their entire email database was like 60 gigabytes, or was it more than that?
It was 400 gigs of stuff. That was everything from the source code for all of their utilities. They had a remote access tool that they had in there. All of the internal emails, the ledgers for pricing. I mean, you name it, they had it in there. It was terrible. And I think they even got to the point where it was the CEO's. He had a Firefox password file that they just grabbed a hold of and then dug into all of the rest of his stuff and just copied into the file.
Brilliant.
Like, here you go, 400 gigs of this company.
The latest revelation from all of that data that was stolen was that they were talking to Boeing about creating, drones that fly around and hack into Wi-Fi and install malware or spyware. So couple that together with the knowledge that we can hack right into a lot of different cars, and we can have drones flying around hacking into cars. That's one thing. I mean, this stuff, I'm sure people are already doing this because it's pretty easy to just, fly around, exploit Wi-Fi, land on the roof of a building, get into the Wi-Fi.
We've been doing this for years.
But these guys were working together with Boeing, and Boeing was like, oh, sure, we could do this, and then they were creating the software and saying like, oh, we'll use these exploits. And
the question is this was being done with Boeing, and who is fitting the bill for Boeing to do this? Because I don't think Boeing would just go and make this on their own. Because like, hey, we're bored. Unless, of course, they were trying to do this for some other kind of government project.
Oh, of course.
Whichever government they're talking about is
well, I mean, the hacking team really didn't do anything on their own. They didn't just come up with these things. Some agency would call and be like, hey, can you all make a drone that'll hack into a thing for me? And then the hacking team would be like, how do you speak Italian? Yes,
I don't.
I can't do an Italian
accent.
Italian,
but
they would be
actually.
like, yes, we can. Exactly. We make this for you.
We're gonna get so much hate for that one. Well, I think
racist.
Something, yeah.
It's okay. I'm 1.01% Italian, I think. So it's okay. I can do anything I want now.
Right? Yeah. Well, one of the things about Hacking Team that I really have a problem with is like I've been trying to figure out where I would want to classify them as, as white hat, black hats, or gray hats. And I'm like, technically what they're doing is legal because they're being hired by governments to do it. And governments, is it legal? Is it not legal? Is it legal for this government but not legal for that government? I don't like them. I think the fact that there was a company that was being hired by all of the governments of the world to basically spy on other governments and spy on other things and spy on citizens. I
didn't think hackers would be up for that. I think they'd be like, no, we don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
these guys definitely don't fall into that like freedom fighter functionality here. These guys they're those bad guys who are Exactly. It's like what? That's exactly what they are. That's. I think they even label themselves as such. And they would pay nice and top dollar for exploits that somebody would come across. So I found this exploit. Well, I'll give it to you, but only if you got in my pocket with like 50 grand.
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
How much money we're gonna make on this video? A couple dollars.
Maybe, if that.
Governments. We have vast amounts of knowledge. We will gladly hack anything you want.
With an axe. That I'm grinding over
Stephen
here.
Hawking is doing an AMA on Reddit, but it's not a regular type of AMA. What Stephen Hawking is doing is he's allowing you to ask questions, and then over the next few weeks he's going to answer these questions. And the thing he wants to focus on the most is artificial intelligence. And we talk about this a bit because it seems like most of the articles I read on the internet are all like, let's move forward with artificial intelligence. It's going to be the greatest thing in the world. And I am not anti-artificial intelligence, and I'm also not against like the singularity where we create, a new form of artificial intelligence that's self-aware and smarter than we are. We'll be the first species ever to create a smarter being than us.
I saw a video the other day that I wish I'd sent it to you because it touches on artificial intelligence. It's one of the things that we think about when we watch Hollywood, and we've got all this mind, in our mind, Terminator and this kind of stuff where it's all, hey, this is what artificial intelligence and the singularity, and we all think, Matrix, or we think something that's very human-like in its process of thinking. But a computer wouldn't behave, think, or act in anything like a human, and it's not. It has to do with the way computers operate and the way the language actually allow it to work.
We've evolved, and a lot of the things that we do are based upon the strange reasons. So it's just a very basic thing. Like a lot of the guys, they run around harassing girls, and a lot of that is their evolutions. They're trying to get a girl to recognize and notice them. So it's kind of a pathetic thing. That's based upon we've evolved
millions of years of evolution across
forward.
The entire planet operates
So they
on
whistle and
this
hoot at girls that walk across the street because inside them somewhere they've evolved to know, hey, you need to recognize me because I want to move the species forward with you instead of this other guy.
The
it's
terminology
part of the evolution,
that
but robots are not going to go through that. They're not going to have all these weird built-in things where they hoot and holler at people across the street. That's a terrible analogy.
Yeah, they're not going to be peacocking anytime soon.
No. Is that what it is? Anyway,
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking, he wants to talk about a few different things, and he wants to ask some questions about safety as far as artificial intelligence goes.
Linus Torvalds, and I think you mentioned this in a couple texts back, is that he came on and he was just like, everybody thinks about artificial intelligence. Again, they think about AI and they think about singularity in the same way we think about, again, Skynet, and we think about, Terminators, we think about, I don't even know, what is it, that iRobot, or it was the other one that no, it was the one with Jake Gyllenhaal, and he worked for the CIA, and it was Eagle Eye, actually.
You're wrong.
I'm like, I know it's in my brain.
You're
I had
wrong.
to
Give
dig
us
it up.
$200.
Yeah, there you go. No, so it's like you look at these kinds of movies, and every single one, it's always. They've given it a human personality and a human perspective, and a robot's not going to
I like the ones where they're all like sultry and the guy falls in love with the AI, and it's like, really?
Oh, that one movie was hilarious.
That was interesting.
That was. No, that one right there. Even that one, like we put them. All of those. All of these
Looks
movies
interesting, though.
and all of these stories are all basing this idea that this intelligence that we'd be creating is going to be human-like, and what Linus Torvalds knows as a programmer, and what some of these other some of these crazy programming guys and these artificial intelligence programming folk know, that this intelligence is not going to be anything that we're going to be able to like blatantly identify with. It's gonna do something that's gonna be the most efficient. So if you program the video I saw was talking about artificial intelligence and talking about if you wrote a program that's whole purpose was to collect stamps. I'm a stamp collector. I want to collect stamps. So I'm going to write a program that's going to find the most efficient way to collect stamps. Well, that program will be like, okay, first iteration that it tries to do is it's going to go on eBay and it's going to buy stamps. So it's like, okay, this process and this arrangement of things to do is going to produce 20 stamps. So then the next iteration it might find is that, wait a minute, what are stamps made out of? Oh, they're made out of, they're made out of this paper. Okay, so why don't I just go find a place to have stamps printed? and I'm going to go and hijack maybe 100 different machines. They're going to print stamps because that's what I can find, that's what I can attach to. So it's going to hack into these 100 different machines, and it's going to print off stamps and have them sent to the home. So now I've got this thing. Well, that's going to print off. That's going to be that's going to produce 10,000 stamps. Well, what if the next iteration is, what is paper actually made of? How am I going to get more of this? Well, it's all basically boils down to where it's made out of carbon. You know, people are made out of carbon. So why don't we just figure out a way of
all that to get to that?
But really, this is it's the evolutionary process of the computer program fulfilling its programming, which would be it's an artificial intelligence that is creating a method for developing a way to make or collect more stamps. And that means butchering everybody to create stamps out of people.
That's kind of what Hawking wants to talk about. He wants to talk about these 4 main questions, and I'll read them first, and then we can just chew on them for just a second and move on, because we're running long, and there's a lot of games to be played.
Yes.
Can lethal autonomous weapons be made to comply with humanitarian law? That's one of the questions. He wants to know how should AI systems... this is basically, he wants to know if we should allow AI systems to interpret surveillance cameras, phone lines, emails, and that sort of thing. Privacy, how that should work with that. He wants to know what the risks are going to be with cybersecurity and cyber warfare. And he also knows what role computer scientists should play in the law and ethics of AI development, I suppose. So he's talking about sort of
back down to Asimov. Anyway,
yeah,
continue.
it does. It boils back down to Asimov, really, and iRobot and all that. If you have some ideas, you guys can jump in the AMA, ask some questions. It seems like he wants to go in a certain direction, so he may be sort of controlling, where the AMA is going. And I bet he already has some statements ready. But who knows? Maybe someone will shine some light on something, and other people will.
Again, this is Stephen Hawking, so he's got a lot of thought in his head. It's just his ability to accurately communicate that is slow.
Yeah.
His ability to convey that information is very slow.
So I guess I don't have any really answers for that kind of stuff. I don't know what human involvement's going to do with AI, but it's coming. So you're ready to be running and screaming and getting shot by robots. I guess that's.
The Moon is a Harsh
Mistress.
Mistress.
Be scared, people.
The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. Go read that one. That's a good one.
That's pretty good.
That's actually a really good one about AI and how it actually developed, again, a human-like consciousness, but at the same time it didn't, and it was kind of conveyed in this kind of backwards kind of sense, which I thought was very interesting in how it developed that. But Mike likes jokes, just remember that.
Anybody read that book in the audience, I wonder? Okay, NASA.
There you go, right there, we got one.
It's a good book. All right.
It is, it's great.
NASA is going to the moon 46 years later. It's only taken 46 years.
And people still think it's fake.
Hold on. Let me just set that on the table. We went to the moon 46 years ago. Guys, we went to the moon 46 years ago.
That's not been completely proven. I'm not really going to... I'm just going to play the devil advocate.
So, 46 years ago, we filmed on a Hollywood set, and now we're finally going to go there for real.
Prove that we did it actually it's the real time the first time. Now,
yeah.
See, I think it's interesting because I was saying earlier, it's like they're gonna try to go back, and they're looking to NASA fund and study, trying to get us back on the moon, which is great. I think it's a fantastic idea, especially when moon is a harsh mistress. And you look at the fact that they're gonna get there, and I guarantee you're gonna have that one guy, if it's just one guy, who's gonna be like, "It's still a hoax. You guys planted all of that set on the moon so you could say that it was really there the first time." And it's like, oh, God damn it, guys. We've got satellite pictures of all the landings. It's okay.
So they're saying a permanent base possibly by 2030. So we're not going to be able to even go to the moon until like 2021. So, 6-7 years maybe. And
Moon is a harsh mistress.
Are you ready? You ready?
I'm going to be stuck on this one.
Hey, tinfoil hats right now, everybody. Tinfoil hats. Okay.
Come on.
Here's what's going to happen, right? So we're going to go up to the moon, and then we're going to wander around to the dark side of the moon, and realize that there's a bunch of stuff there. All right?
And Germans have been there for a while.
I knew it.
Iron Sky, everybody.
They may not be German, but then we're going to look at it and be like, this stuff has been here for 100,000 years. I wonder who put it here. Then we're going to realize that we've been here before. And we blew ourselves up the first time, and only a few people survived.
Cylons.
And they built that stuff, and it was all English, and it was all written in English by white people.
Yeah. That's when we realized we're actually in the Truman Show.
That's the way it always is. All these sci-fi movies, they get there and they're like, oh, they speak English and they're white. Well, of course they are. Of course, because a white man.
That's because the demographic we're trying.
It's awful.
Actually, I'd be more interested to find out that we get over there. There is a bunch of crap there, and it's written in a language that nobody understands. There's no historical reference to it, but yet somehow we actually find like dead humans, or something similar, some other kind of life. But we trace it back. We find our whatever kind of dating, whatnot, and find your genetic traces, and we actually trace it back to our planet. So yes, it was humans that, or not humans, but it was Earth-bound life forms.
You know,
that
I
ended
really,
up
no, I
on the
really
dark
want
side
it to
of
be
the moon.
like pygmy stuff, like something like that we don't expect. We get up there and we're like, oh, there's like, these are exact replicas of what we found here in Africa.
That's where all the unicorns been.
And then you wonder why the
Damn it!
pygmies,
I knew dragons were real.
the pygmies had drawings of skyscrapers and fireworks and all kinds of other things.
There you
See,
go.
they were on the moon.
It wasn't so much that we were aliens; that these are
This is all
actually just
true.
like
top of Google. This is all true.
after the fall of the electricity the first time and the EMP hit the first generation of life on this planet. Everybody resorted back to charcoal drawings on the wall. And we must never forget all of the things that we did prior to the dark side of the universe.
All right, that's pretty much the end of the episode, except for the last thing we're going to talk about. Yes, I'm getting ready to go play games. I can't wait.
It's
I'm
okay.
not
I'm
even going to
playing
edit this
Half-Life
tonight.
on
You
my
guys are
watch.
watching this tomorrow.
All right.
Wait, does that make sense?
Means it was yesterday. Quakecon is over, and you're all sad that you weren't actually able to see us live stream this. I'm sorry.
I'm not even going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about any games today. We're going to wait until tomorrow to talk about games. But I
Alright.
was going to talk about people putting Half-Life onto their smartwatches, but I don't care.
I wonder if they put it on the Apple Watch,
I don't think so.
which I hear is doing really badly.
The Apple Watch? Really? But it's
But it
pri-
costs $10,000, and
It's
it's made out of gold.
priced so competitively. Yeah. I thought it would be doing great.
I think what really is that Apple, the Apple audience, the people who are very into buying Apple, don't want the watch because they're like, Apple didn't do it first.
How do we get back on this?
I don't know. Watches. Anyway, let's get it. I'm going to
Penis
play
on
some
your
games.
wrist is what it is.
It's on my wrist. This is on my wrist. You know what? I've got a Pit Boy. So, on that note, I'm gonna go play something that's probably not related to Fallout.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
She's got it right there. We're gonna go kick some ass. Quake Live.
Quake
So if
Live.
you guys are seeing this,
Gaunt match
you're
right
not- You're not about to. What? We're ending this?
Gaunt match.
Gaunt match? Oh, Gaunt match? Yeah, we're gonna do a gauntlet match.
So
Gauntlet
excited.
insta-gib, no other weapons, and I will beat you all,
Maybe.
except for him. Maybe her. She kicks my ass. I'm serious. She does. She's really damn good at insta-gib. I just stay away from her. I get a nice big huge map of people, and I'm like, I'm just gonna hide from her.
How do you think this happened?
She doesn't. She got here. She's like, you're going to handicap. Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the comments, and I love you.
Grab your. Okay. We gotta do it like a strike for the camera. I just
It's
want
probably
to.
gonna be like this.
And it's gonna be like this. So I'm gonna try to I want everyone to just single clap, just one time to see if we can spike the audio now.
This is awful.
This is great. I know it's terrible. It's audience interaction. Hold on. We gotta wait for it. Gotta wait.
Did you break it?
Of course you broke it.
Yes.
Stand down.
This is Logan we're talking about here.
That was close enough.
All right. Just in case.
He's gotta sync it up later. So it's all
I
over
mean,
him.
if you really wanted to peek it, you could just blow on it, but it'll never ring.
But that's what the hairdo's for.
I mean, unless you like blowing. I like the
Yeah. Hey,
Great for isolating the
you
noise.
can blow my dead cat anytime.